You lost, and you go on the air inside of 24 hours and calls this your favorite season. I don't know how you come back from that. I think if you're the Boston Celtics and you have an opportunity to pair Giannis with Jason Tatum, you do it. For an abundance of basketball reasons, to change your style of play and other that. Oh, Jaylen Brown clearly loves driving the bus. Let him drive somewhere else. That's what I think.
Amron, go ahead. I'm for a potential reset. Now, Jay, last week you posted about who the Bucks should trade Giannis for. Giannis for Jaylen Brown, straight up. Why not? Stephen A., do you think the Celtics should be open to trading Jaylen Brown for Giannis?
I do. I really do. But it's not as simple as, Giannis being, when healthy, being one of the dominant players to have ever played this game. He played 36 games this year. It was a bad year for him. He still averaged 27 and 9. That's who we're talking about here with the greatness of Giannis Antetokounmpo. But that's not the only reason that I think that you do this. I think you do this because other than Cater, who do you have if you're the Boston Celtics in terms of your front line? You gonna bring us Luke Garza? You gonna bring us somebody like that? What are you gonna do? Okay, you need more than that, right? Secondly, the reliance on the three-point shot, the living and the dying with the three-point shot. If you're Joey Mazzulla, that has to change. There really does. You don't have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson as your backcourt. You can't just live and die with the three like that, which is what the Boston Celtics did. I think that's problematic. Number 3, though, is Jaylen Brown and what we've been talking about over the last week. When you are 2 years removed from being a champion and being an NBA Finals MVP, and 2 years later, when you're playing without Jason Tatum for about 62 games, and you go to the postseason, and you get bounced out in the first round, it's the Boston Celtics, the most storied franchise in the history of basketball with 18 championships. Never have they lost a 3-1 lead until just now. And it was with Jason Tatum on the bench in Game 7. And Jaylen Brown was the bus driver. And you lost, and you go on the air inside of 24 hours and calls this your favorite season. I don't know how you come back from that. I think if you're the Boston Celtics and you have an opportunity to pair Giannis with Jason Tatum, you do it. For an abundance of basketball reasons, to change your style of play and other that. Oh, Jaylen Brown clearly loves driving the bus. Let him drive somewhere else. That's what I think.
Amron, go ahead.
I'm torn on this topic because we got to think about this. I totally agree with what you said 100%. We actually talked about that last week. Why would you go on the air and say that? You're causing confusion. Like you said, less than 24 hours getting bumped saying that this was my favorite season, best season, however he worded it. It just didn't look good. Then Brad Stevens has to come out and say we have a great relationship and so on and so forth, which I don't believe the Celtics organization, even though Brad Stevens wasn't the GM at the time, I don't believe nothing they say when it's loyalty to players. I see what they did to Isaiah Thomas when his hip was hurt. And God bless the dead, his sister passed away, and Kyrie Irving became available when they said, thank you for your services. We appreciate you going about your business. So as far as the Celtic organization and loyalty, I don't believe anything that has to do with loyalty when it comes to the Celtics. But as far as this topic is concerned, I'm torn because regardless of what anybody says, even though they were down last year when they lost to the Knicks, that's when Jason Tatum got hurt. So they didn't get to finish that series out. This series this year, even though they lost to the Sixers, Jason Tatum wasn't playing the whole time. The last time we seen a healthy Jason Tatum along with Jaylen Brown, they actually won a championship. So I don't know if you want to split this up right away because we know when both are healthy, they have the potential to win a championship. But when you have the opportunity to get Giannis, you don't want to also miss out on the opportunity to get Giannis. You have to think, though, is this where Giannis wants to be? So if you trade him, you have to make sure you trade and sign him. We don't know if Giannis wants to be in Boston. He's buying houses and looking at houses in New York. Now, if New York wins the chip, I don't think they're going to want Giannis. But I'm really torn. It's damn if you do, damn if you don't, because I don't want to split this up knowing that last time we seen both of these players healthy on the court together, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they won a championship.
Actually, the last time we saw them together healthy on the court, they were going down 3-1 to the Knicks.
They didn't lose. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. See, I started this off, man. I started this off.
It's the truth, Cameron.
Stevens, this is the truth. But this is what I'm saying. I started my soliloquy off with they were down in the series. This is what y'all do. You look for more reasons. Oh, I don't know if Cam said that. Let me make sure we add on to the point. I said they were down in the series. So go ahead, Jay.
Cam, can I say this? So I said this last year, and I don't think it caught any traction because I think about these type of things when it comes to sports, right? So, you live down in great areas where, if you were spending time in South Florida, spending time in Europe, you get a chance to go on vacation. You can do a variety of different things, right? Go anywhere in the world. I laughed when I saw Giannis in Midtown in New York with the baby stroller and everybody just walking around. I was like, damn, okay, like this feels pretty obvious to me where homie want to be. And then he went from New York to the Bay and did the same thing in the Bay. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'll push back just a tad. And Stephen, I'd be curious to hear your opinion on this. Look, the Jaylen Brown-Giannis thing, that makes sense to me, right? That's a swap. If the Knicks come up short, where do you go in this arms race in the Eastern Conference?
So short meaning they don't make it to the finals.
Or let's say they make it to the finals.
And then they lose.
Let's say they lose 4-1. And you still feel...
Let me tell you where it gets tricky, Jay. If you told me Giannis was healthy...
But wait, on that point, Giannis has played 84% of the regular season throughout his career. Right. You know what Jaylen Brown has played? 78%. I just want to combat this narrative around Giannis not being healthy.
But I'm not talking about over his career. I'm talking about this past season.
Well, this year also, he tried to come back, though, Stephen A. He tried to come back now. Yeah. And the Bucks kind of hindered him on coming back.
But it makes you nervous when you see the calf because, you're concerned about the Achilles. You know what they say about the Achilles. Once you suffer that injury, you'll never be the same over the course of 82 games. Now, Kevin Durant has debunked that for the most part, and we get that. But nevertheless, that's something that they say. My issue with Jaylen Brown is not really an issue. The brother was an MVP candidate. He was an all-world player this year. He proved he could be a number one option for anybody and that he deserves it. He deserves our praise in a lot of different ways. But again, to come out after you've been, listen, Boston fans, they ain't going to forget that. To come out after losing a 3-1 series lead and giving that up and getting bounced out in the first round, and less than 24 hours later to call that your favorite season. Clearly, you got other stuff on your mind. You clearly have other stuff on your mind. And then when you look at Boston and how they're bereft of real big-time talent on their front line, even though I love, their center Cater, to have somebody like Giannis, and then you got a Jason Tatum, somebody, you're not as reliant on the three-point shot to live and die with it.
Warriors Nation News. Dub Nation, let me ask you the question that can split this fan base right down the middle in 5 seconds flat. If the Warriors had one massive swing to make for Steph Curry's next run, who would you choose? Giannis Antetokounmpo or Jaylen Brown? Because now this is not just random fan fiction anymore. The text you shared is built around that exact kind of debate, with Giannis being discussed as a possible blockbuster target and Jaylen Brown being cooled into the conversation as the kind of star Boston could move in the right deal. The whole point of that segment is simple. If Giannis is truly available, teams at the top of the league have to ask themselves whether they would break up a contender core to get him. And that is why Warriors fans should care. Reuters reported just yesterday that the Bucks are once again entertaining trade offers for Giannis ahead of the 2026 NBA draft, with a decision on his future expected before the June 23-24 draft, while he is set to make $58.46 million next season and has a player option for 2027-28. That means this is not a fake deadline. This is a real pressure point for Milwaukee and for every team dreaming big. The same Reuters report also said the Bucks want either established young talent or a huge draft pick package back, which tells you right away that any Giannis conversation is going to be brutal, expensive, and franchise-shaping. Now let's bring Jaylen Brown into it, because that is where this gets spicy. Reuters reported last week that Brown was fined $50,000 after criticizing officials following Boston's playoff exit, and the text you shared leans heavily into the idea that his situation in Boston feels a little louder now, a little more complicated, a little more emotional. In that debate, Stephen A. basically says if Boston can pair Giannis with Jason Tatum, they should strongly consider it, while also taking direct shots at Jaylen's comments after the season. So the conversation is not just Giannis is available, it is if Giannis is available, is a star like Jaylen Brown the kind of piece a franchise would have to think about moving. And here's where the Warriors angle becomes fascinating. If you ask me who is the cleaner basketball fit next to Steph Curry right now, it is Jaylen Brown. Brown gives you downhill force, wing defense, athletic pressure, secondary scoring, and a younger two-way star who does not need the ball every second to impact the game. He can cut, run, finish, defend the best perimeter guy, and take some of the physical burden off Steph in a brutal Western Conference. That fit is sharp, it is modern, it is playoff friendly. And if Golden State wants to stay dangerous without changing everything about how it plays, Brown makes a lot of sense as the type of star you would dream about. But if you ask me who has the bigger ceiling-raising impact, the scarier, oh my goodness, the Warriors just changed the league effect, it is Giannis, and it is not close. Giannis gives you rim pressure the Warriors have been missing, elite rebounding, massive defensive range, and a player who can absolutely destroy the paint while Steph destroys the arc. Think about that for a second. Teams trap Steph 30 feet from the basket, and now Giannis is catching with space and attacking a broken defense. That is chaos. That is panic. That is the kind of pairing that changes the geometry of the court. And the Warriors, coming off a 37-45 season and a missed playoff finish, need a move that changes geometry, not just rotation minutes. Reuters also reported Steve Kerr is staying on a new 2-year deal, which tells you Golden State still believes in trying to win now, not drifting into a soft reset. Now let's stay honest, because this matters. There is no confirmed Warriors deal for Giannis. There is no confirmed Warriors deal for Jaylen Brown. This is about realistic star-level conversations and what kind of move would actually make sense if the Warriors go hunting. Giannis is the nuclear option. Jaylen is the smoother fit. Giannis is the bigger swing. Jaylen might be the more natural system answer. Giannis changes your identity. Jaylen upgrades your structure. That is the choice. That is the debate. And that is why this is such a great Warriors topic right now. So here's my final take, loud and clear and still favorable to the Warriors. If Golden State really gets a chance at Giannis, you go for greatness and figure the rest out later. If Giannis is not truly obtainable, then a Jaylen Brown type of move is exactly the kind of smart star pivot that could keep the Warriors dangerous in the West. Dub Nation, now it's your turn. If the Warriors had to choose one, who are you taking for Golden State? Giannis Antetokounmpo or Jaylen Brown? Put your answer in the comments, hit like, and subscribe to Warriors Nation News.